grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win, yeah. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be never.
All right, everybody. Good morning. Hope you're doing great. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Up and coming. We're probably going to have, it looks like, well, here in Pittsburgh, we'll have a white Christmas. If not, like maybe Christmas Eve, we're going to get a little snow. We've gotten the best snow in the last, well, since like, I think mid-November, and it's been light dustings. I'll take light dustings over feet of snow, which cloud the roads and take forever to clean up any day. All right, everybody. Let's start. So a couple things. I did a podcast, an attempted podcast with Ryan Root this week. I think it was Monday. And the StreamYard end product, like the recording, came out so bad. Root was having internet problems. Ryan Root. This is Ryan Root. And the topic of it, so we couldn't ultimately put it out, but we're going to reschedule it and do it again because I think it's an important topic. The major thing that Ryan wanted to bring to light in the podcast was a highlighting of the critical importance of the sex hormone binding globulin. Now, what Ryan found is essentially, to put it very simply, that our understanding of the SHBG, like the commonly held belief that lower SHBG equals higher free test, and that means more bioavailable test, is somewhat wrong. And what it looks like is that lower SHBG, first of all, as I've been saying, clears your test faster. Okay. So though you may have more of it, you have more of it for less of a time, which really ultimately ends up in diminishing returns. But also very low SHBG prevents the androgen receptor from doing what it needs to do to give you androgen responsive stuff, at the tissue level. The SHBG is actually critical for that. Now, this discussion about the SHBG got me to go down a different rabbit hole and find a paper on prostate cancer relative to the SHBG that tells us something really, really interesting, which is, I'm going to break this down on some future content, that lower SHBG in the presence of, prostate cancer, but it likely in the context of TRT, ultimately equals more of a urinary metabolite of testosterone. So you end up peeing out more of your testosterone faster with lower sex hormone binding globulin. Okay. There's a lot more to expand upon that. This would explain why when people run oral, specifically Proviron and Anavar, for too long, And they're not doing other things like maybe taking some T3 or T4 to manage SHBG, that they lose their libido, right? I really don't think it has a whole lot to do with estradiol. I think that they just clear androgens too quickly, and they can't efficiently use androgens. Remember, sex hormone binding globulin is also a sort of a transport protein, right? Its job is to release or unbind from testosterone so you can have activation of the ARs at target tissues. And when it is too low, it cannot do that as effectively as it needs to. So more to come on that. We're going to do like a full breakdown, me and Ryan, on his research, and I'll do a separate breakdown of my research on the SHBG being too low and making you basically urinate a lot of your testosterone out quicker. So look forward to that. Let's quick talk about baby dosing HCG. Now, look, I've done some content on the blood levels of HCG not really being very high on 125, 150 IU doses of HCG. And what the point was of that is 250 IU every other day, 250 IU a couple times a week, 500 IU at once, better yet, gives you more serum HCG. In the end, though, I want to somewhat make a correction to this because I have experimented with clients that can't use HCG with baby dosing HCG. Ultimately, like, people respond very differently to serum levels of HCG, and the effect at the testicular level is more long-lived, just like the effect of LH is more longer-lived than the short half-life of luteinizing hormone, right? The intratesticular steroidogenesis basically is longer-lived. So baby doses of HCG are making it so that a few of my people that estrogen gets out of whack and their progesterone seems to be skewed, then they have a good TRT protocol and get to keep functional testicles. And you'd be surprised at how little HCG, this is something that Dave Lee has harped on, and we're going to have him on the podcast the next couple, I think mid-January. You'd be surprised how little HCG actually keeps the testicles functional. It keeps that whole system very, very good. So it might be the case for people that are having problems. Okay, I want to be very specific with my language, so please pay attention. This is not a blanket statement. But people that are having problems with HCG, that you should be baby dosing it, and then your problems would go away. All right, so something to consider, something to think about. Please take heed. All right, let's get the questions, boys. Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you're having a great, like, pre-Christmas kind of pre-holiday setup here. We won't be doing content. This Monday, I've got an appointment with the VA, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to do content this Monday. Tuesday, I think, is Christmas Eve. And then the day after Christmas, I travel to Philadelphia area for a few days. So I'll be doing content in between if I can. Otherwise, we'll see you guys at the new year. All right, Simon Stone recently stopped using cabergoline to correct prolactin issues. Libido and motivation have pretty much disappeared. Is this normally expected during dopamine agonist withdrawal, or ride it out? Okay, if you took cabergoline for a short period of time to just lower prolactin, you don't have DAWS. Yeah, you're referring to DAWS. That's a syndrome called dopamine agonist withdrawal syndrome, characterized by a myriad of cognitive and well-being side effects, which don't typically include sexual side effects. You're not having that, thankfully. If you were having that, you'd fucking know it and you'd feel fucking terrible. I mean, you would feel terrible and you'd have panic attacks that are uncontrollable, and you'd have a myriad of other negative symptoms. So you don't have that. Could you have taken your prolactin too low and that caused a libido problem? Potentially, I'll leave room for that. However, there's no disease associated with, or no negative health consequences associated with lower prolactin in men. Okay, there is in women, but not in men. And so I've also never seen like sub 4 nanograms per milliliter of prolactin cause sexual dysfunction. So although it is possible that this is the cause here, it is likely not, and you probably have to look at something else. Now, did your brain get a little used to that extra dopamine agonism, and now you're not making enough dopamine because it downregulated a little bit in response to that? This is all theoretical, possibly, in which case it should resolve very soon. But it is uncanny and uncommon to find any type of dopamine agonist withdrawal symptoms from brief periods of using cabergoline. Now, this might be dose dependent. If you were dosing a milligram at a time, then possibly this could happen. But even in the scientific literature with people dosing 0.5 a week for years, when they withdraw or stop taking cabergoline in this case, none of this stuff happens. So probably something else. So really look into it. You know, what else did it do? Where are your hormone levels? Where's the SHBG at? You know, it's something we really got to look at lately. Otherwise, you know, if you think it's a dopamine problem, yeah, maybe take some Mucuna purines, like 500 a day, just 500 milligrams a day. Just do that for the next week or two so you can start making more dopamine. Maybe add small doses of P5P so you can synthesize more dopamine. And that might help your situation. But I'm almost guaranteeing it's not related to the dopamine thing. Simon Stone, also Merry Christmas, brother. Merry Christmas. Yeah, we can say Merry Christmas. Yeah, it's just fucking awesome. Yep, got a tree recently, a fake one. I'm happy about it, honestly. I just didn't want to go through the whole deal of getting a real tree and pine needles being everywhere and fucking my cat drinking the water every day, so I've got to keep refilling. He does that. He'll do that. It's really weird. Happy Saturday, brother. Okay, reporting back on injectable carnitine. After a week, Preston started noticing more energy at the gym, taking a pre-workout, and I'm getting 2 to 3 really good sets. So additional sets or something. Also cardio stamina increase. No, that makes sense. It makes sense that your cardio stamina increase. I mean, you're fueling energy transport to your cells, the mitochondria, the cell, via Alcar, which is the acetylated version of carnitine, or better yet, injectable carnitine. So this would make sense to me. Pretty fucking awesome. I haven't used it yet, but you know, I will at some point. Mike, good morning. What are your thoughts on clomiphene? I think it's a PCT drug at best. That's really it. I don't think you want to be blocking estrogen receptors for very long. You know, this is where all the side effects like ocular problems and, you know, in a small subset of individual blood clots come about. So I don't think that is a good idea. I think similarly, because Masteron propionate acts in a similar way at the estrogen receptors, you wouldn't want to take that very, very consistently for this very reason. But, you know, look, in situations in which you need to PCT, maybe, you know, you're not on TRT, but you ran a steroid cycle and then you have to get your HPTA back, then yeah, and clomiphene is the safer of the two SERMs that we typically discuss, or that is kind of out there in this field to use it for a short period, get your natural function back, and then, you know, ditch it and see where you are from there. All right, Simon Stone said, I said in a recent video that 4,000 nanograms per deciliter total test and 21 picograms E2 had no libido, likely because of using an AI. How did you resolve this to bring libido back whilst keeping the test levels at 4,000? That was in this cycle. And that was in my estrogen went up to like 92, and that was problematic. I took a lot of Aromasin over a 6-day period and got it down to 21. So I overshot for sure. You know, I hadn't really dosed Aromasin on cycles. I kind of didn't know, you know, so you overshoot. This is what you have to do. You got to go get the labs. You have to see where they're at, and then you make adjustments from there. I just made a minor adjustment in the total dose of Aromasin and got it back to 40 or so, between 40 and 50. And that's where it was good. Now, what you're alluding to is that, you know, at 21 estradiol, or at around 20 estradiol, but with lower testosterone, you know, I had insane libido. And usually when my estradiol is down low like that, I have very, very insatiable libido. If I'm around a woman, it's difficult for me to not focus on sex, you know, if I hadn't climaxed in the last 3 hours. Now, if I take estradiol down, I can repeat this over and over again in clients. I can show you the fucking blood work if you're really interested in this. With an AI, in the presence of either 700 test or 1500 test, and it's in the range where that person needs to be or feels good, but it's using NAI, they won't have good libido. But if you get them at, which is really hard to do, by the way, 1500 total tests and 21 estradiol otherwise, like maybe using some zinc or CDG, chrysin, there's really not many compounds capable of doing this. Primabol and Masteron, these are capable of doing this. Even though they still have AI properties, there's less of a burden on the sexual system, and people feel good. If they naturally, through like ditching HCG or microdosing it and then just dosing like 200 milligrams a week of testosterone at once, and their body gets used to that and they push through the side effects if they have them, well, then at the trough, they're at like 600, 700, and estradiols at like 25, and they have great fucking libido. And I have great libido the whole time, usually on those protocols. So there's something to inhibiting aromatase, because remember, lower estrogen at 21, done naturally, is very different, chemically speaking, in the brain and at tissues than lowering it to 21 with an AI, because you have the primary mode of action of an AI, which is to inhibit aromatase happening. Whereas if your levels are 21 naturally, somehow, you're not inhibiting aromatase. So you're still making estrogen at the tissue level, and you're converting testosterone into estradiol in the brain, which is part of how you have libido. Yeah, if you stop doing that, your libido is going to suffer, and that, you know, is proven by everybody who takes AIs and it's too much. Estrogen goes too low, even though it looks okay, and then they lose their libido. And I've seen people lose libido at 30 picograms per milliliter, which should be great, but it was because they were taking an AI. So hope that clears things up. Okay, dream big. Cabergoline 0.25 milligrams once a week fixed all my sexual functions on HRT that DHT and estrogen control could not give me. How should I cycle this if my HRT for life 11 months on and 1 month off? Well, look at where the prolactin ultimately went, and then try to keep it there with the use of either P5, a combination of P5P and high dose Shasandra, with as much as you can tolerate of vitamin E gel tabs. Yeah, that also will synthesize more dopamine and keep prolactin low. If it doesn't reach your range, your prolactin range where sexual function is really great, well, yeah, then, I mean, you would want to dose, you'd want to use those options first and then sparingly dose cabergoline. You know, it's not a problem, Cab, until it gets into like the 200 to 300 milligram cumulative dose, at which point you could have some of these cardiac issues that are reversible the moment you stop taking the drug, but that people commonly talk about with CAB. So I would try that first. Try running it naturally. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean? Why did CAB and lowering prolactin give you sexual function back? Well, first of all, if your prolactin was over range, that's the answer. That's the answer. Mine gets to 19 ever, and forget it. Yeah, I can't even get an erection. Yeah, and my libido is fucking gone. You know, I'll use tadalafil or whatever and barely get an erection and have sex, and I can't even focus. I'm not enjoying it at all. It's just like, forget it. And forget climaxing. Prolactin is fucking terrible for the sexual system. So if it was over range, that's why. Also, though, reference range, I mean, sometimes you just need to be at 8 nanograms per milliliter prolactin. That's not entirely uncommon. So that could be it. Rackpool, why are some people so sensitive that they need protocols that are specific down to the milligram in frequency while others are more robust? Do you believe health or genetics are the main factor here? Well, when people require like to not get side effects to do very frequent dosing of stuff, that's their health. Yeah, that's their health. No question about it. It's their health, and it's that their neurotransmitter receptor sites haven't quite adjusted to the extra catecholamines that androgens will induce. Now, if a person, so that's one thing for sure. It could be health. Usually other things are at play when, you know, somebody needs a protocol that like where the numbers are in a tight range, and the moment you go outside of that range, problems occur. You know, usually there's just something else fucking wrong. HCG is one of them. You know, HCG in a protocol in a person that doesn't jive well with it you know, skews the estrogen testosterone DHT ratio in an unfavorable fucking way, which is hard to control with AIs. You know, you either overshoot or it's not doing enough of what you need despite serum being low. And estradiol, probably just more tissue estradiol. And that is a case where somebody kind of just really needs to fine tune their shit. Additionally, though, people that have long-standing sexual dysfunction, I find, need to be in tight ranges of everything for a while. Until then, their body becomes stronger and adapts to fluctuations, or at least maybe a little higher levels of estradiol, or whatever. Lastly, though, as I alluded to in the beginning, we haven't given SHBG enough of a deep dive, and Ryan Root, who I tried to do a podcast with recently, and we couldn't do it. It was chalked, like the quality was chalked, so we're going to do it again. I brought a bunch of literature around SHBG to the forefront, which shows that you really do fucking need it. And that number that is too low, I think, is going to be different for different people, but it's really sub 12 or so. You get in the single digits, and that's problematic. I found a study that shows us that low SHBG makes it so that you basically urinate more of your testosterone out a lot quicker. You get increased amounts of testosterone glucuronidine, which is a fucking urinary metabolite of testosterone. So, in these cases, people could have too low SHBG. It is, I wouldn't call it difficult, but it's painstaking to get people's libidos back. I've had bodybuilders come to me, or just people running long cycles of oral anabolics or androgenics like Proviron, when the SHBG is very, very fucking low. So those are some examples in which that happens. What supplement increases penile sensitivity the most? No supplement increases penile sensitivity. Yeah, it's controlled by a lot more than a supplement. Stop thinking about it so simply. You're doing yourself a disservice and you're wasting your time. More trend, more men. That's a fucking funny one, bro. And it's Derek's picture. Cypionate versus NFA for TRT. Every fourth day injection frequency. I'd probably go with testosterone NFA if I were you. It would be my choice. Knowing everything I know, that testosterone cypionate sometimes doesn't break down effectively. Testosterone cypionate certainly aromatizes more than other esters, especially compared to prop. Sticks around longer, which causes more hematological fucking problems for those that can't get their hematocrit under control otherwise through cardio or Naringen. And so honestly, testosterone NFA, yeah, I had a long run both with TRT, but with cycling testosterone NFA. And though I had some libido problems because my estrogen got fucked up because I was running 500 milligrams a week, once I got that figured out, I felt really fucking good, And I put on, a good enough amount of muscle for me, considering I've only really been back in the gym for 2.5 years or almost 3 years. And now off cycle completely, I've retained a good bit of that. I've not lost strength, which is fucking awesome. I just lost a lot of glycogen and water weight and all that stuff. So my pumps are still actually pretty sick, which reminds me, I was running Anavar for, it was about 13 days, was 11.5 milligrams a day. Very fucking effective right away. Stronger on day 2. Pumps were insane in the gym. And then one of the things I didn't run post my cycle was ApoB. And my ApoB was slightly above range, okay, in the moderate risk category. So I've backed off the Anavar for now. I want to get that down in range, and then we'll run Anavar again. I do not fuck around with markers like that. ApoB is a pretty critical marker and determines, to an extent, your risk for cardiovascular disease later on in life. So not fucking with it right now. So back to TRT, basically 233 a week, 100 milligrams prop every third day. Couldn't run the cream, wasn't anabolic enough. Okay. Air Dolphin. I bought the source list, waiting for testosterone NFA, currently running 160 milligrams a sip a week. Should I run the same amount of tests at 160? Also take DHA 50. Pregnenolone 30, no AIs. You should try that first, yes. But you might end up finding that you need slightly more testosterone enanthate because it leaves your system quicker. I don't know what your SHBG is, but if it's on the lower end, it's going to leave your system even quicker. And so start at 160. And then if you notice shit not, within 3 weeks or so, things are different and you're not quite dialed in, then I would first raise the dose. Try raising it 20 milligrams a week at 180 milligrams a week. And then stepwise upward until that resolves. If you get to 250 and that isn't resolved, you might need to lower it. Because it does peak quicker. So that might be, the thing that you need to do. So I'd lower it then stepwise 20 milligrams downward, go to 140, then go to 120. And I wouldn't go below 120 really, because then you're talking about, no man's land. All right, Steve Wonderful, 200 milligrams per milliliter cream. That's the good shit. Twice a day. How much to really add to your weekly total of tests when injecting test also? You're looking at somewhere around 105 milligrams, I believe, 105 milligrams comparison. But the difference is that 105 milligrams a week comparison. So what is that? 15 milligrams a day. That's about what you're looking at. Yeah. I mean, just to give you an idea, on 3 pumps of cream, I peak at about 1200, 1250 peak. That's like it's hour 6 after administration in the morning. After hour 1, I'm at 8 something already, 890 or something. And then at hour 6, I'm peaking at 1250, 1300. So that's really what you're looking at, man. Yeah, cream is a great modality, man. It's a great modality for people who can't dial in otherwise and want to try something new. You know, again, as I've discussed in a recent video, lower end cream 3 pumps a day at 200 milligrams per milliliter. Little pregnenolone, maybe DHA if you need that, but baby dosing HCG or no HCG is a pretty golden fail-safe protocol for clients. It also works very effectively for me. But for me with cream, regardless of the dose, I'll need a little bit of HCG because somehow the testicles shut down further, and I don't really understand why that happens because it's a fast-acting shorter ester and it clears faster, but it does stick around longer than prop. So that could be why, more suppression. But I think intrathecally, when you rub cream on there, on the testicles, there's a degree of suppression that is a little different than even longer esters. And that is not like super clear in the literature. I don't think people have actually tried to elucidate that. Okay, Johnny Pina, if SHBGs on the lower end, PT141 still be effective temporarily? Yes, because that is predominantly affecting the sexual system via one pathway you could use to affect it, which is the hypothalamic dopamine pathway. Simon Stone, ever get clients where they require E2 to be higher for libido, but then suffer with sides like gyno? How much you manage a situation to prevent gyno and higher E2 is needed? I mean, possibly some masteron, but otherwise like SERMs, other SERMs to do that. But no, I've not run into this. No. So I'm not sure what is happening here. It is estrogen related if you're getting gyno. If you're actually getting gyno, I mean, that's estrogen, period. It's not prolactin, despite what Huberman said. That's fucking wrong. That's wrong. So I don't know what to tell you here, but no, I've not seen people that require estradiol to be high enough where it gives them gyno. That's in the 70 to 100 picograms per milliliter range consistently. You know, for those susceptible to gyno. You know, I ran, again, 92 estradiol for, must have been 3 weeks. And then I went and got labs because libido was taking a hit and shit. And, you know, I didn't have itchy nipples at all. Like I had that on the first 6 months of TRT, itchiness around the nipples, and then that just went away. So I've not seen that, man. I couldn't really help you on what to do, at least. Mike, how's the Anavar protocol? Fucking great for 13 days that I ran it, but I ran my ApoB because I forgot to do that on my last set of bloods post-cycle, and it's slightly elevated, and that's probably from the cycle. So I don't want to fuck with that. I want to get that down in range, and then we'll go back on Anavar. Yeah, but it didn't do anything to my... Well, actually, my serum creatinine was slightly high. EGFR was normal, but then that doesn't really mean it's not as accurate as you want it to be. You want to get EGFR with cystatin C, which was fucking normal. So it didn't really fuck with my kidneys at all. AST, ALT went up slightly, but not out of range. So they were still in range. So everything else worked out. But, you know, I probably had elevated ApoB from running the cycle. And then Anavar, in my professional opinion, is not a good idea to run when you've got elevated ApoB. If you never want ApoB to be above range, like I want to get it back in range and then we'll run it again and fucking monitor bloods throughout. Sip or anything, what's your opinion? Anything, in my opinion, is just bitter. Yeah, I just hits you quicker, leaves the system quicker, probably metabolizes better. Yeah. Dream Big said I was right on prolactin. It was high 18 and weaker EQ. Yeah, that's it. Prolactin 5 to 8. I'm a freak. Absolutely. Yeah, prolactin is the most destructive. Is there a more destructive hormone to sexual function than prolactin? No, estradiol isn't even as destructive as prolactin. Yeah, prolactin is a complete, it just stops the show. Yeah, erections are, I mean, you will literally have fucking ED on high prolactin. Yeah, like you can't get an erection, dude. You need trimix for it, and even then you have a degree of venous leakage from it. Mr. Testy, always testy. Why do I feel awful from aromas in 6.25 or 12.5, even though my estrogen is 3 times above the reference range? Again, this is because you inhibit aromatase in the brain and possibly elsewhere. You know, we can't really tell what happens at the tissue level with estrogen, which does matter and influences all the sexual systems and all systems. When the serum says whatever it says, like we don't have any way to measure this. You know, there's a long paper on this that I discovered where the doctors doing the paper that published the paper literally said in a statement, the perplexing thing about estrogen management is we have no idea how to measure such small amounts, which would be the tissue level of estrogen. So I think number one, you inhibit aromatase, and number two, tissue level estrogen is probably too low, and it's an uneven balance that you can't fucking figure out. That's why those drugs are made for breast cancer and not TRT. Doesn't mean they can't be effective on TRT, because they can, but they're just hard to dial in. Preston, heard that carnitine increases androgen receptor density. Yes, right. The degree of I think in total you're increasing the total amount of androgen receptors. You're fighting against the degradation, the constant degradation of ARs. You know, when androgens bind to the AR, they translocate in, the AR translocates into the core of the cell, the nucleus of the cell. Then it communicates with DNA, basically, androgen responsive elements to DNA. Then you get your androgen response at the tissue level. But then that receptor degrades through a bunch of proteasomes. It's like proteases come and degrade the receptor. So carnitine probably makes you make more ARs in the presence of constantly degrading ARs, which is a good thing, especially if you have low SHBG. Okay, Steve Wonderful just switched from Cypionate to Prop. No, the milligram, you can't do it milligram for milligram. Prop has far more test per 100 milligrams than Cypionate. Cypionate, you're looking at, 68 to 75 milligrams, whereas Prop, it's like 80 something milligrams and something more significant. So you get a little more test from Prop. So, I mean, doses definitely change. You could try running the same dose. I think that's fine. But you'll probably have to change it or dial in from there. Maybe good to run the same dose and you might be fine, or you might have to change it. Yeah. I mean, it all depends on a host of things. Like daily, I do best on 40 milligrams of Prop. Okay. Minor estrogen control, not with an AI, but with zinc and calcium D-glucarate. And then I'm like fucking horny all the time and pretty strong in the gym, not very anabolic. I don't retain a lot of muscle, glycogen or water weight like I would on a long ester. But also 70 milligrams every day works. There, I do got to manage estrogen with a little bit of an AI or aggressively using some of these other compounds like zinc and CDG, but like my erections are fucking harder and like things are just like generally better, but it causes hair loss at that dose. So point is, you can find various doses of Prop that work. You just have to be savvy at dialing protocols in. Okay, ride the lightning. Good morning. I only ever use testosterone cypionate as Enethate, which is what I think you're trying to say, better, or Sustanon. I pin twice a week and feel good with it. If you feel good, don't do anything. Don't do anything. Don't be one of those people that gets influenced by me or the forums or anything to change something when you're dialed in. Number one rule is that even if you see a shiny object, meaning, Primo gives you some anabolism, but also controls estradiol, or Enethate is shorter lived but faster acting, or Prop gives you a dopaminergic effect. All these things are true, but if you're dialed in, change nothing. Change nothing. Change nothing. If you want to experiment, like I dial myself out every time I experiment. I fucking purposely do it, right? So I can learn more how to dial in certain situations, and because I know how to do it, right? So if you're not versed in doing that, it might take you 4 months to dial back in. So just tread lightly, my friend. Hector at 20 milligrams test Prop a day. All right, that's a pretty good dose. Recently got labs pinned at 6 a.m. and got bloods at 3. Total T was 1,000, free T 317. Yeah, that makes sense. DHT 49. Waiting on estradiol, still have low EQ and libido issues. Interesting. Yeah, whatever that estradiol says will probably be your answer there. That's 20 milligrams a day is only taking you to 1,000. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I think that you might be clearing. Your free test is kind of high, but not high for TRT. You might be clearing androgens very quickly, and that could be your problem. Get your sex hormone binding globulin tested. If it's too low, you got to work on raising it. And the only real effective ways to do that would be like take T3 or T4. Honestly, I mean, I'm assuming you don't have like insulin sensitivity problems, which not many people have. So, but if you do, get that checked out. But otherwise, wherever this estradiol is probably going to give you your answer. 20 milligrams Prop a day. My estrogen is kind of on the low side, so maybe it's too low. That's why I got to run 40 and just minor estrogen control without an AI, and then I'm really fucking good. Yeah, 20 of Prop a day is a little too low for me personally, so that might be your answer. Dream big. Okay, I tried all the natural ways to control prolactin. Nothing worked to bring it in my zone. How long should I take off of cabergoline to wash it out? again, I mean, after a cumulative dose of 200 to 300 milligrams, you know, you have these heart chamber, you have these valvulopathy that happens, and that stops like within weeks after you stop taking cabs. So, I mean, as long as you take a couple weeks in between dosing, the prolactin might go back up to 18 or 19. And then, you know, you can run cab again to get it down. But you might want to ask yourself, why are you making so much prolactin? Like if it was at 18, that's just 1 nanogram per milliliter below the top of the reference range. It's kind of a problem, dude. You know, I mean, I don't think you have a pituitary tumor because it'd be 250 if you had that. But what is causing your prolactin to raise would be the better question to ask. Then you don't really have to worry about this. Get a hold of that and you'll be fine. One cause is hypothyroidism. Yep, hypothyroidism is a cause of hyperprolactinemia. Another is the use of kratom. Another is continued use of marijuana, high dose fucking consistent marijuana. Another is being an alcoholic. So you might want to look at those things or other things. Proviron God, I'm going to be doing a pretty cool experiment. Order 100 grams of test base, 7 grams DHT powder, using capsule maker for 1,000 milligrams test and 70 milligrams DHT per capsule, making them today. Huh. Brother, let us know. Yeah, comment on videos or comment on this live stream or fucking let us know. Get a hold of me, Ryan at livecortex.com and come on the podcast and talk about it, dude. Yeah, I'd love to have you on if you want to talk about it. If you run that experiment and you see where you end up, I mean, 1,000 milligrams of test powder, I think that's going to clear your system very quickly and you're probably going to have some side effects. 70 milligrams DHT should make you feel really good. But hey, it's your body, you know, regardless, good luck. And if you want to come on the podcast and talk about it, email me and we can do that. But interesting shit, bro. Good luck. Steve, wonderful. You mentioned microdosing HCG. Is that daily or several times a week? Every other day, you know? Yeah, I got guys on 50 IU every other day. I have guys on 50 IU every 4th day. And we can get sexual function where it needs to be, but they're not over aromatizing and they're not having progestogenic side effects and shit. So again, you know, I'm just leaning more toward HCG isn't for everyone. I used to not say that. So it's effectively correction on my position. I've seen a lot of new information, namely a big paper that shows that HCG is not what we thought it was. It's not exclusively an LH mimetic. It actually does other things that LH does not fucking do. Yep. Plus, your LH releases in pulses. It's not like 500 IU at a time or even 250 at a time. So it just affects people, you know, in unpredictable ways, which is, I think, what, you know, Dave Lee is talking about, which I'm going to have him on the podcast to talk about HCG in January. All right. Best prolactin range, 5 to 8 nanograms per milliliter is really what I would say is good for like fucking crazy refractory period. Yeah. And even then, so yeah, I remember this because I got my prolactin down very low, and even at 1.9 nanograms per milliliter, which is like on the blood, it was a big fucking red L low on the Quest Labs. I could, you know, I remember there was a woman that I ongoingly see. She lives in Ohio, and having sex with her, I could have, you know, I was like ready again in a half an hour. I was like, you know, but then after that, I would be a couple hours, and then maybe in the middle of the night, you know, we'd have sex. But it really is true that you can decrease refractory period fucking substantially by lowering prolactin. Prolactin is the determiner of your refractory period. Yeah, it releases in 10 to 15 nanograms per milliliter after you climax, and it stays elevated for some time, not the whole day, but some part of that day, and then it goes back down. This is why you get ED and you lose your libido after climaxing. You know? You have post-nut clarity, basically. Okay, don't know a whole lot about GLP-1s. TRT boys. Yeah, can't really comment on that. I personally wouldn't be taking these kinds of things. I have a woman that I know that is experiencing anxiety, basically panic attacks. She's never had panic attacks in her life, but she's on some of these fucking weight loss peptides, and they're fucking her up. Merry Christmas, brother! Thanks for the $10 super chat, man. Is Anavar better? Air Dolphin, really appreciate that, bro. Really appreciate that. Let's give that a like. Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. Madcap, is Anavar better than Proviron androgenically speaking? No. Proviron is much more androgenic than Anavar. Yeah, Anavar's androgenic, but not as much. You'll lose less hair, if any. Yeah, I noticed in 13 days of using Anavar, I had no hair loss, no shedding at fucking all. 13 days of Proviron, I'd start having shedding, definitely. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Proviron is like the most androgenic oral, like one of the most androgenic orals we have. I mean, that's why it's so good for erections and libido for people. Assuming the rest of their protocols intelligently dialed in. Yeah. Okay, more trend, more men. Opinion on alcohol while on TRT 3 to 5 drinks a week. That's not bad at all. That is really not bad at all. Yeah. That's I these days I'm having a little more than that. I'm having 3 to 4 drinks like 2 or 3 times a week. So that's not bad, but you just got to make sure you do everything else right. Like stop early, for me, stopping early before dinner, then eating dinner, then I'll chug it's close to an 8-ounce glass of water. The moment I'm done drinking, I will chug that water. Substantially helps the metabolism of booze. Take extra B vitamins on those days. Try to get an extra half hour to an hour of sleep those nights. And then, you still wake up feeling like $1,000,000 like I do. At 5 fucking a.m. springing out of bed, even if I had, 5 dry Rieslings the day before, I wake up feeling fucking good. Destructive for the literature is so fucking can't make up its mind on alcohol. And I recently read a long paper that was like, alcohol reduces your apolipoprotein B, which is a marker for, if it's elevated, very elevated, it's a marker for cardiovascular disease risk. And alcohol lowers it, among some other fucking lipid markers. So like, I just, it induces a hormesis, if you will, to sort of a stress on the body, which then your body becomes more resilient to. So it's sort of helping you in that regard. Obviously, it's a GABA A receptor agonist in the brain, so it kind of calms you down, sort of thing. So the literature is just so fucking back and forth about alcohol. Now, past a critical threshold, it becomes super problematic on virtually every blood marker, including blood sugar. And it destroys your relationships if you become, a real asshole on it. Most of my really important relationships in my life, well, a couple. More than a couple really important relationships in my life have been destroyed by the person that can't get themselves to stop drinking. So just be careful. But 3 to 5 drinks a week is not a fucking problem. Yeah, I don't think so. Eric, any recommendations to increase ferritin rather quickly? Where do you like to see ferritin for guys on tier? Just in range, even if it's low, it's fine. It just can't be below range. You don't want it super high. I would just start taking iron pills, honestly. Yeah, but watch your digestive tract because they can be difficult on it. So eat it. What worked for me when my ferritin was low 2.5 years ago, and was it through phlebotomies? There was some other thing I fucking did. I remember doing something that got my ferritin to be a little low. Yeah, and what worked for me was low dose iron pills. Yeah, just dumping a little capsule of powder out of the capsule, taking it with food, not dosing a lot at a time, eating a little more meat, red meat, and taking more B vitamins. Ooze started supplementing with iodine and selenium, and high prolactin symptoms is gone. I'll do work to confirm soon blood work. This makes sense. Actually, if you give a person that has hyperprolactinemia, which is elevated prolactin, that it's caused by low thyroid numbers, if you give them thyroid hormone replacement, their hyperprolactinemia is cured. Yeah, this is in the literature too. Please Google it if you want to read it. So there's a mechanism for this. Your thyroid is working better, and therefore in the pituitary somehow, I forget the mechanism, but you're probably just more agonizing the dopamine D2 receptor so that prolactin can't secrete as much. Or you're downregulating the lactotropes, which are the cells that secrete prolactin. One or the other. But this is a real thing, and it's fucking awesome that you recognize this. More trend, more men. Do you recommend C-Max or C-Lank for guys on TRT seeking neuroplasticity? Considering microdosing mushrooms or taking C-Max, I think that microdosing psilocybin would probably give you more neuroplasticity than C-Lank and C-Max. Pushing neuroplasticity, you want to shoot for probably the most effective stack would be uridine, citicoline, DHA, B vitamins, magnesium, and vitamin A. Yeah, that'd be the best route, one of the best routes. Potentially, you could induce neuroplasticity with cerebral lysin, although it's more of a blood vessel optimization set of peptides. Good neuroplasticity agents. That's basically what you're looking at. Yeah. All right, Steve Wonderful. Can you or should you use Proviron, Anavar and Proviron 25 milligrams at the same time? Well, you certainly can. Bodybuilders do it for sure. Like one is just helping one thing and the other is helping another thing. Sexual function for Proviron, and Anavar is obviously fucking super anabolic and makes you really strong really quickly and changes your physique pretty quickly as well. Again, we've talked about this before because I think it was you that asked it. If not, my apologies. I guess it was somebody else who might have asked that, but I don't see a particular need, and you'll crush the SHBG pretty quickly. If you don't have a need to do this, and you can't counter the reduction in SHBG by taking thyroid hormones, which would counter it to some extent, then I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do that. The exact thyroid supplement I use is called, is a supplement by Evolved Elements. It's just bovine desiccated thyroid tissue from New Zealand. It's by a company called Evolved Elements or Evolve Elements. Amazon that and you'll find it. You'll find it. All right. Dream Big says, I really need to add 0.25 milligrams CAB once a week or once every 15th day, twice a month back in my regimen. Sex life is taking a hit, but I'm running 9 MBC. Maybe bump that dose up, bump your 9 MBC dose up, and that'll probably lower the prolactin. Almost definitely it will. It lowered mine. That's what I would suggest. If you're taking 9 MBC, would I take CAB and 9 MBC at the same time? I wouldn't personally, because I just don't know what it would fucking do. There's a too powerful drug, especially cabergoline. So you just run the risk of excess dopaminergic stuff happening, and past the threshold, that doesn't feel good. Jaw clenching, impulsiveness, you just might be over fucking confident. It's not particularly great. Can lecithin cause insomnia? Not that I know of. No, took 2,400 milligrams around 7 p.m. and couldn't sleep. The reason that this probably happened is because you ended up making too much phosphatidylcholine, or, the neurological effects of phosphatidylcholine, which can be excitatory, mess with your sleep. Yeah. Now, lecithin's so fucking awesome for seminal fluid, your ejaculate volume, because phosphatidylcholine is a substrate for the production of your ejaculate volume. But I take 2 capsules, 2 gel tabs of soy lecithin in the morning with my supplement regimen. And it certainly does affect ejaculate volume, but it doesn't affect my sleep or anything. It just probably makes me a little sharper throughout the day via the cholinergic aspects of it. Yeah. Is there a difference between SIP and NF8 regarding E2? Yeah, I think so. I think you end up just probably at the tissue level, but I think you could also measure it at the serum, and it would be slightly higher on the same dose of SIP-8 versus, the same dose of testosterone and NF8. This just makes sense considering the pharmacokinetics as well as the metabolism and distribution of a long, very, very long ester like SIP-8, which is much longer than NF8, despite people thinking they're like pretty similar. Now, SIP-8 sticks around a lot longer. So yeah, I mean, if you're on SIP-8 and the gyno is a problem there, then yeah, switch to NF8 and see if that helps you. But you might have to intervene with some other things too, like SERMs. Okay, Preston made DMSO DHT gel. So you asked ChatGPT and it gave you the requirements. That's pretty fucking awesome. It's only been 4 days, but definitely noticed a strong antidepressant and mood booster. Loving it so far. No hair loss. Yeah, I didn't really get much hair loss on actual DHT, which is, again, flies in the face of what we think we know about it. I also had a strong antidepressant effect and a strong Proviron but more pronounced confidence and masculinity effect from it. It was pretty fucking cool. I also noticed I don't have any hair on my back. Like I never had. Thankfully, I'm not cursed as one of those guys that has hair on his back. But I noticed in the basically my traps have peach fuzz now from running DHT. I also noticed here above my beard on this side, there is hair that grows that never grew before. So yeah, it definitely fucking causes you to grow more hair in certain places. And it is profoundly powerful as an antidepressant. It's got to be via just strong, consistent agonism of the androgen receptors in the brain. That's got to be what this is. And that's provoking some dopaminergic effect, probably, and maybe even an effect on other excitatory neurotransmitters, namely acetylcholine. But it's a well-known phenomenon that, people that use Proviron or very strong DHT derivatives that are very comparable to DHT itself, and of course DHT itself, that you get an antidepressant effect. Yep. I think DHT itself is an antidepressant. It'd be what I would use for sure, knowing what I know now, if I ended up with MDD over an SSRI for fucking sure. Yeah, I'd just take some DHT. The issue would be resolved. But yeah, so far Preston is loving the effects. Yeah, I mean, I haven't taken the DHT in a while because I got off cycle and just kind of changed my protocol completely 2 times now. But I don't really see a need to take it. You know what I mean? I wanted to really experiment and get a lot of fucking data on it. And so I have a lot of it, and maybe I'll make the gel. Maybe I'll make a 4 or 5% gel. And see how that fares. I did all kinds of weird shit with Indractum. I would rub it on what was it called? The perineum, that space between the testicle area. And I got instant improvement in orgasm sensation. It was fucking crazy, bro. So lots you can do with THT, man. Lots you can do. Hector, the $10 super chat. Thank you, bro. Appreciate the super chat, dude. Merry Christmas. Hope you have a great fucking Christmas and New Year's, and you're safe and you eat well and you're healthy. And thank you for the super chat, my guy. Hector, my guy. Thank you, brother. Nosy Blacklight. Risk of using 200 milligrams raw DHT powder orally. I did that once, and gave me a little low estrogen symptoms for 5 hours. But it dramatically upgraded my ejaculate volume and the climax sensation. Yeah. And penile sensation to a degree. Raw DHT always gave me just better erections than wherever I was on TRT or cycles at the time. And it made me feel fucking super masculine. But I wouldn't run, and it had an antidepressant effect. I wouldn't run this much consistently. It was too much for me, as evidenced by the low E2 symptoms that I had for hours after doing it. Now it clears the system quickly because it's just DHT powder. Half-life's pretty short, so those negatives went away. But that's a pretty high dose. I wouldn't be dosing that unless you had PFS and you were experimenting with TRT and some other things plus DHT. Then you might want to at least try running something high to see if it gives you alleviation, and that can then help you decide what to do next on your protocol, whether it's DHT but just at lower doses more frequently throughout the day, or otherwise trying to optimize DHT with maybe prop, which will do that if it's dosed high enough. Preferred carrier oil for tests is MCT oil, hands down. Gets in quicker, just feels fucking better. I love MCT oil. And now the test I'm using is UGL test, and it's MCT. All right, my thoughts from Brian on psilocybin. Took a hero's dose. Super eye-opening, and then I started microdosing 2 or 3 on and off. 2 and I don't know what you mean by 2 on 3. Oh, okay, 2 days on, and now ED has started already on tier 2. What's the next recommendation? What? Oh, you might have just increased prolactin. Get your prolactin checked. Because activating the serotonin receptors, which is what you'll do with psilocybin, all of them, by the way, every serotonin receptor will agonize. That raises prolactin. Yep, serotonin is prolactogenic, very prolactogenic. So get your prolactin down. Get it tested first, and that's probably going to be, your solution there. Yeah, I have a lot of experience with psilocybin, both in taking mushrooms when I was younger, but I microdosed it for a while. This was 4 or 5 years ago. It had an antidepressant effect. And then I think I dosed 900 milligrams. I actually had powdered psilocybin. I dosed a lot. And had a bad fucking night, man. Yeah, because I was in a terrible relationship with a very ungodly woman. And all of our problems were manifesting as fucking these black witch demons in my head laying in bed. I was freaking the fuck out, bro. And I knew better. I knew that it was just the psilocybin, but you can't tell somebody who's having a bad trip that. It was pretty bad, dude. I was fine about a couple hours, but I fucking remember it distinctly. Holy shit, was I hallucinating? Brian M., dopamine agonism, DHT, HCG, or the triad? Well, I mean, they're all going to help things, but again, everything's just situationally specific. HCG is problematic for some people. I've not seen DHT be problematic except for mega dosing and giving you low E2 symptoms. You are awesome as well, brethren. Okay, Orlando. Do you think I will still get suppressed if I do DHT once a month? Nah, not really. Not really. I don't know what the purpose of that would be, but I don't think you're going to be suppressed like crazy. No, you'll get a very little bit of suppression. Yeah. And then, but not enough to really make a difference. If you start dosing it once a week, then that might become a problem. More Trend, more men. What are your thoughts on Derek's products? Gorilla Mind Nootropic, Gorilla Mind Dream. I think they're fine. I think they're just kind of typical, kind of classical. Like I wouldn't put a nootropic together with choline and huperzine A in it. One of their products have that together because that's just likely to give you acetylcholine toxicity, which is evidenced by, I'm sure, people that take too much of it and feel loopy and start feeling fucked up. So I learned being the nootropics guy for a decade or more that you shouldn't really combine huperzine A with a choline source in high concentrations because it just tends to cause fucking problems. Otherwise, I think they're kind of, they're run-of-the-mill stacks, they're fine. I don't think nootropics is Derek's specialty, but it's a good market to get into, no question. So I don't blame him for getting into it. Okay, Dream Big, how often is hypergesterone levels a problem with HRT? I've not really seen it all that much. I have seen it, but not a lot. No, progesterone will inhibit 5-alpha reductase enzyme. So yeah, it is a fucking problem, man. I've done this before, and if you want to run this experiment just to see, get progesterone cream, get some progesterone USP from Amazon. You can get it. And rub it on your forearm. And then like when your dick stops working for 3 or 4 days, you'll know what I mean. Because it just starts inhibiting DHT like pretty much right away. That's the problem I find with it for sure. Thank you, brother. Merry Christmas, man. Merry Christmas, boys. All right. Do you like running for distance or time? Getting back into running this summer. Neither. Yeah, neither. Just to get the cardiovascular workout that I need to keep hematocrit in check and to give me some neurotrophic factors to make my brain work better and to burn, a few hundred calories or whatever. What I really like about running is in the spring and summer time and very early fall. I live in Pittsburgh, and so and Pittsburgh has downtown, and it has the Strip District, and it has the North Side, and it has where the stadiums are on the North Shore, and it has all these fucking boroughs, and it has all these areas within the city that are also cool. So I get to go out and see people on the street and run, and I fucking love that, and also see the beautiful city of Pittsburgh. So I do it for hematocrit, cardiovascular benefits, etc. It's lipid controlling to an extent, and for the scenic element of it. I really enjoy that. I also like when my physique is like fucking peak shape running outside shirtless because the fucking bitches are like, yeah, what's up? And I'm like, yeah, what's up, baby? I like showing off my physique, like I think anybody else does. If they tell you they don't, they're being falsely modest. Skynet, again, with the why skip your question. Your question probably has a banned word in it, and I'm not skipping your question. I just haven't seen it. I'm only going to tell you that for the third time now, that time. If you ask again, I'm just going to fucking ban you. Open your eyes. Dream big. Is 225 nanograms per deciliter of 17-hydroxyprogesterone level good from Quest Labs? I don't know. I need to look at the reference range. It usually doesn't come in that rating. It comes in a very different reading. You might have got a more advanced version of it. So that's entirely possible, in which case I can't really answer your question there, brethren. You just don't want it above the range, man. You don't want it above the reference range. That's for fucking sure. All right, Preston with the $10 super chat. Thank you, brother. Do you think there's any potential for down regulation of ARs blasting with pure DHT? I think what would probably happen is the opposite. You would probably upregulate ARs. Now, again, though, constant saturation with like long esters, it is my contention that you don't make your ARs as quickly because you're as quick enough to keep up with the constant degradation of them via never-ending androgen supply. You know, the body's not used to that. So it's got to make all these changes in response to, you know, fucking a long ester, basically constantly supplying you with testosterone. Your body is not used to that, wasn't built for that. And so that could be a problem. You know, DHT generally upregulates the function of the ARs, but you still might be clearing a good degree of them and not making them in enough time. The ARs that you have present, though, that are being created constantly, they're being created and then degraded constantly. You might just end up creating more, which will kind of offset that problem. So that's what I think. Should we follow a cycle schedule with DHT? It really depends on why you're doing it. You know, like if you're doing it recreationally, then yeah, three times a week, just for the fuck of it, just to see what it does for you. You have to have an objective though, or you should, you know. I'll use it to increase climax sensation. Like I'll take 40 milligrams DHT before, you know, a date. And if I know I'm going to have sex, or if it's somebody I'm ongoingly seeing where I'm definitely sure we're going to have sex, then I'll take some DHT and the climaxes will be better and there'll be more ejaculate volume. So have an objective for doing it, but no, I don't really think you have to worry about major downregulation with it. Either way, whatever your objective is, unless it's serious sexual dysfunction, cycle it just for good measure. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Bosley, yes, this is going to be shown later. It'll be published on the channel once the live stream is done. It is 9:58 in the morning, Eastern time in Pittsburgh, and we are literally live right now. This is literally what I'm doing right now. Dar Fitness, shirtless running when shredded is the best. Absolutely. The bitches love it. They fucking do, man. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to show off your physique. I was talking to my boy Kevin at the gym, and we're talking about working out at home. And he does it. I don't do it. But like we ultimately ended up concluding that we like working out at the gym. Number one, because we have big giant mirrors where we can look at our progress. You know, you're not vain if you're looking at your progress. You are if you're excessively doing it. Like there's this guy at my gym that does that. He fucking will. He just flexes in front of the mirror for way too long. It's really weird. But you need to see your progress and competition. You know, that's what this kid Kevin said that to me. And I was like, thank you for being honest. Cause I would have said the same thing. I like competition at the gym. I just like it. I like when, you know, there are other men there that don't look as good as me or whatever, or look better than me that I want to look as good as they do, or lifting more than me if I'm feeling ego lifty, which I am. But, you know, listen, we're human and those things kind of fucking happen. So running outside shirtless when you have a great physique is awesome, man. You know, because, you know, people are like, you know, looking. We have an epidemic of low testosterone levels, dude. You know, I got a friend of mine that has a very controlling fiance that won't let him get on TRT, and I'm just trying to fucking convince him. And this guy's weak. He's weak at the gym. He's, you know, he's only 2 years older than me, dude. And he looks like shit, and he feels like shit. He feels like shit, bro. So, you know, I often see other men, but that likely have testosterone deficiency or close to it, and they're like, "How is this guy out here killing it?" Because I understand fucking testosterone makes us men. It gives us energy. Okay, Brian, I have cabergoline on hand. How much would you take to see if prolactin is the issue prior to prolactin test? Don't take any. Get the prolactin tested, because then your use of cabergoline is going to skew your results. You want to see what that prolactin is. Don't take it. Don't take it. Go get the prolactin bloods ran so that you can see where your prolactin is. Yeah, that's the scientific way to do it. You need to determine whether or not prolactin is a problem. And you won't be able to do that if you take CAB, it lowers it. Then you look at the bloods and it's in range and it's fine. You know? Yeah, don't do that. Just go run it. Walter, for energy and wakefulness, would you advise 100 milligrams phenylpiracetam, 15 Nupep? Would I advise this very specific stack? No, I wouldn't advise this specific stack. If you're trying to take a nootropic for energy and wakefulness, you could use 75 milligrams phenylpiracetam hydrazide. That's the only thing you can get right now. So it's more bioavailable and more potent than regular phenylpiracetam. 4 to 8 milligrams Nupep, not 15. That's probably going to cause you side effects if you're not used to it. 150 of adrafenil, I suppose that would be fine. That also might cause you to have like catecholaminergic side effects, like you'll be excessively anxious. 30 milligrams of vinpocetine is enough to get the oxygen and blood flow benefit to the brain. You have Nupept twice here. One at 15 and one at 30. Brother, I think you need to just maybe take, maybe just take some modafinil and a low dose of a cholinergic like aniracetam, because you put Nupept twice here at different doses. Oh man. Wanted to quick mention to you guys something important, relatively important. So let me just try to do this here. Right now, is this right? Oh, no, it's not. Is that right? Okay. Right now, the Torque Nootropic stack is buy one, get one free. Okay. So our Nootropic is buy one, get one free. I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. You go to Torque, you add a bottle to your cart. Here, let me move myself over. You then check out. It's buy one, get one free, boys. Okay. Our Nootropic, which is super fucking powerful, is buy one, get one free. Then you go down to when you're in checkout and you simply punch the code in. Let me find the coupon code section. There we go. Torque BOGO. Okay. Torque BOGO. I had already punched it in, it looks like. So, oh no, I didn't punch it in on this one yet. I've got 2 bottles in there. If I apply that, it's going to give me fucking 4 bottles. Yep. So now, oh no, what it did was it gave me 2 bottles and 1 for free. Yeah. So whatever you buy on Torque, if you punch in the code Torque BOGO, TORQUE, Torque, and then BOGO stands for buy one, get one free, you will get an additional bottle for free of the Torque stack right now. We do that 3 or 4 times a year. It's the biggest special that we run. So take heed, those of you that are nootropics folks and like the Torque stack, it is buy one, get one free literally right now. I will put the code down here in the chat. Torque, buy one, get one. Code is Torque BOGO. Boom. Okay. Take heed. All right. We don't run those often. So like that is a very fucking powerful special. Okay. You get 2 bottles if you buy 1 bottle. This shit is fucking powerful. Okay, Preston, I want to jump off here. I appreciate all you do. Thank you, man. You've helped me out with a lot of shit over the years. Thank you. Last thing I'll leave you with is test acetate. Couldn't find much data. There's not a whole lot of data. I don't have any experience with it. Well, I can get it. I'm gonna get it soon, just to experiment. But it's not on the top of my list. But listen, I mean, it's gonna peak very fucking quickly. It's going to affect you very quickly. It's probably going to tank the SHBG for a brief period, but then it'll be out really quickly. So I'm not sure the extent to which it's going to fuck with SHBG. I think it'd be very useful if you can't dial in on other esters to at least try it. How sustainable that is hard to say because you'll have to get it UGL for the rest of your life if it works for you. Because no clinics have, test acetate, which is a very, very fast acting test. So, experiment with it. It's on the source list for sure. The source list, it's there. So if people want to fuck with that, you certainly can try it out. And is this source list? Yeah, boom, source list. Sorry, I didn't have that up. This is a vetted source for all anabolics, including DHT, but tests of all esters, including test acetate. You'll find it on there. Good luck. I appreciate your kind words, bro, and thanks for the super chat, man. I hope you have a great rest of your fucking day, and I'll see you, either next live stream or we'll be doing more content as the days go on. My brother, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and rock on, brethren. Dr. Phil, hey, brother, do you think your body can get used to Aromasin to the point it's less effective after taking a long time or after taking a large dose? I think it's certainly possible that you could... that your body won't be able to keep up with making more aromatase enzymes as you continue to kill them with Aromasin. That's very possible that happens. It's very possible. Yeah, I mean, the raw materials you need to synthesize aromatase enzymes, maybe you get deficient in those, or your body has a hard time keeping up with the fact that you're killing aromatase enzymes. I mean, for fucking sure, when I dose Aromasin too much, and I have a few times, it took 6 days to get me back to where I'm in a good homeostasis, where then I can try again and adjust the protocol. Yeah, that's why you don't want to overshoot the shit. But if you get the dose right, well, then you keep your estrogen at the great range consistently. And if you respond well to AIs, and not all people do, they have sides, etc. Web City, USA, the Torque BOGO code does not work. Yes, it does. I just did it on screen. It does work, and I've tested it a lot of times, and we have actually. I don't know if I can count that, but 70 something orders since we sent the email out earlier this week. 70 something orders of Torque BOGO. It works. Believe me. I put in 2 bottles and get 0 free with the code. You're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong, brother. Any other questions, brothers? I don't know what you guys are up to today, but I'm just kind of getting ready to wind down and for Christmas. You know, I'm winding down for the holidays, and I won't be doing much content. And I'm going east to the Philadelphia area to see family, and I'm excited about it. You know, excited to hang out with people that I love and that love me. Family's so fucking important. If you have good people in your life, you know, I've got people in my family that most of them I like, and then I have people that I don't like either, right? And so it's important to spend your time around the people that you do like. Yeah. And focus on spending as much time and being in that kind of, especially around the holidays, of that Christmas-like spirit around those people. Yeah, it's I can't wait. I only see these people, because I live in Pittsburgh now. They live in Philadelphia area, basically. I only see them like once or twice a year, you know, and I see them for funerals and shit like that. So I'm excited to go see, you know, my family. And I hope those of you that have cool family and people that you love, you're excited to see them as well this Christmas season. All right, what else do we got? If we don't have any questions, we'll end the stream, guys. I appreciate your guys' questions so far. I mean, this has been a pretty epic stream. This will be the last piece of content likely until maybe even after the new year. I mean, I'll try to squeeze one in on Monday the 23rd, this coming Monday, but I also have an appointment at the VA, so I'm not sure that I can do that. Otherwise, possibly the 26th or the 27th, but then I'm leaving for Philadelphia area then. So not sure I'm going to be able to do that. But either way, come the new year, which is the greatest time to come back and kill it with content, you know, we'll be putting out some fucking content, some real good content. Live streams, or I mean, podcasts coming soon. We'll have Ryan Root back on the podcast to reattempt what was ultimately an unsuccessful podcast, quality-wise, on the SHBG and how important that is to have in the right place. I will have Dave Lee on the podcast early January. Okay, that might be one of the first pieces of content that's back. A big, long, fucking 2-hour banger of me and Dave Lee talking about HCG, talking about TRT, talking about protocol hacking, and talking about DHT. So please look forward to that. It's going to be fucking epic. Otherwise, great questions, guys. I am going to end the stream. I've got some shit I got to attend to, actually. I'll see you guys soon. Merry Christmas if we don't talk in between. Happy New Year, happy holidays, and I'll talk to you, brother, soon. See ya. All right.